Alright guys, today we're taking a look at the Super Battleship Grand Battles again, but this time from Destroyer's perspective, and you've got nothing to fear as a Destroyer player. These battleships are very easy to farm, and they're not even that intimidating to YOLO. In fact, that's the meta of this game mode, is just YOLOing into Super Battleships, trying to get off all of your torpedoes. And it really wasn't that hard, even on something like a Hannover, which you would think with all its secondary power and hydro it would be a difficult thing to do. But Kleber is so nuts that even with the CV striking us and this Hannover, well, he decided to charge in. So that's going to be an easy set of torps coming out for this guy. But it's really not that hard to play Destroyer into these battleships. They are basically just tier 10 battleships with more HP to farm out. That is all you need to know as a Destroyer player. It's very simple. And if you're going to play in this Grand Battles mode and nothing changes, I think the best two ships you can have ready are Khaba and Kleber. And that's because your goal is probably going to be to play these super battleships every once in a while. And the fastest way to get these intelligence reports, which are required to actually take the Hannover and Satsuma into battle, the fastest way to get them is to play a very fast destroyer, full send it into the enemy team, and basically die as quickly as you possibly can. That'll give you your 3 intelligence reports, assuming nothing changes. I'm hoping the economy of this does all change, but that is the best thing you can possibly do, is to just full send it in, get your 3 intelligence reports as fast as you possibly can, and get out, and then repeat. And that's why you have 2 at a time, so that you can be playing your Khaba while your Kleber is in battle, and vice versa. It just makes it a whole lot easier. I, of course, when I was doing this, was actually streaming, so I didn't want to do the most boring thing possible, which was head in a straight line with speed boost active, shooting my guns into the water next to me, getting myself spotted, and getting my ship sunk as fast as possible. That would have been boring to watch, so I was trying to see what I could accomplish with these 2 very fast destroyers, gunboats, against these super battleships. Of course, if you're playing a torpedo boat, it's even easier to fight these things because they're just so massive that they eat torps all the time. I found it's almost impossible to miss Holland torps because they're so fast, and you just can't miss. If these things turn, they take so long to turn that you can launch your torpedoes as they start their turn, and your torps will get there as they're, halfway through their turn perfectly broadside. It's that easy to do. So torpedo boats have literally nothing to worry about. These are just more damage pinatas. But for a gunboat, maybe the secondaries, right? Hanover, of course, has the ability every once in a while, after 5 accurate salvos, it can have secondaries that outrange your main guns if you're playing a Khaba, right? But they're really nothing to fear either, because as we all know, secondaries don't really do all that much these days to destroyers, even cruisers. The main thing secondaries are good for, I have found, is setting fires on battleships. Other than that, everything else is just too small to reliably hit. And especially with destroyers, the aiming system is really, really, really poor with secondaries. So they aim for the back quarter of your ship, and if you do any maneuvers at all, they're probably just going to miss you entirely. And yeah, so secondaries aren't that scary. Hannover is not a big deal at all. And of course, farming these battleships out from range is not a big deal either as a gunboat. You're going to have a great time. If you're looking for big damage numbers, this might be a good mode for you. Unfortunately, it's only 9v9, so you probably won't have as many opportunities to farm out huge games as if there was a 12 versus 12 game. But when you're guaranteed 3 battleships with near 120,000 HP each, there's a lot of opportunities to get some massive, massive chunk damage out of every game. And you could see just how much AP wrecks a Satsuma. That's, of course, the weakness of the Satsuma, is the 32mm plating everywhere. See, I'm aiming for the upper belt, and we're just getting this huge chunk damage. And it doesn't look like a lot on his health bar, just because he has so much health, but these are, 4 to 5k salvos every, 3.8 seconds in a Khaba. And since we don't have to worry about AP pens, we can't get one shot. So sure, he does some overpen damage to us, but it's really, really not that big of a deal. Just look at how long I'm able to sit inside 6 kilometers of this battleship. And then another Satsuma around the corner here is coming up. And I'm just able to sit here farming away. I don't know. I feel like a super battleship should be super, you know? And these just don't feel that powerful to me. I never was scared of them when I was fighting against them, when I was in a destroyer or a cruiser, because they just don't bring anything really that much more to the table other than a little more HP and both having Yamato levels of overmatch. That's really what this is. Playing them felt pretty good if you were able to put them in a good position, but getting YOLO'd by a destroyer like this is still definitely possible and very easy to do. Unfortunately, as fire lights us up here on this one, and we get taken out. And a big problem with playing Khaba is your torpedoes are so slow that we actually missed some of them at even that range. That's the only problem with the Khaba. Otherwise, it's an amazing ship, as you can see. The Kleber, of course, is better at those YOLO runs. Getting the torpedoes off from either side can be a little bit tricky, but if you can position yourself in between two ships and get 6 torps off at one and then 6 torps off at another, you can get some pretty insane damage. And, of course, the stupid saturation that French destroyers have allows you to do this very, very, very easily. And this is the meta. I think this is what you want to be doing in the Grand Battles mode. Assuming this economy doesn't change, you want to just full send it into people, not caring about living, just caring about getting your ship out as fast as you possibly can. Some things I wish they would change about this Grand Battles mode would definitely be the economy of the intelligence reports. I think that giving intelligence reports to everybody who plays the game mode is good, so that everybody eventually can get access to these ships. And forcing people to play normal surface ships, I think, can be a really good option, and is probably necessary for this game mode, because I'm sure everybody's goal is to play the super battleships. So allowing the game to have some cruisers and destroyers in the game, kind of forcing people to play those classes, or incentivizing people to play those classes, is a good thing. And I think that is a really positive thing about the intelligence reports, because, 9 super battleships versus 9 super battleships might be fun for a bit, but I think it would get maybe a little bit stale with the lack of variety of ships in the battle. So I think Wargaming's doing a good job there of trying to get people and to play other ships and incentivizing them to play other ships. I just wish that there was a way to incentivize to play the other ships in a more normal or positive way. There is no consequence for just sending your ship in to die at all. And that means that that's all people really should be doing. I think it's a pretty standard thing to do in a video game, is to get experience or get whatever currency you're trying to get the fastest way possible, even if it is a little bit cheesy. I think that is a normal player behavior thing to do, and I wish Wargaming would come up with a way to make the best way or the fastest way to get this currency to be a positive, meta-defining playstyle. That's what I would love to see, which in my mind would look like rewarding destroyers for capping points with a couple extra intelligence reports, maybe rewarding cruisers for, I don't know, playing near their destroyers and supporting with radar, or I don't know, just something to reinforce the cruiser, the destroyer playstyle in a way that makes more normal feeling games, like normal random battles. Not that random battles are the best example of a meta, considering they're just super passive HE spam fests. And this kind of more aggressive playstyle can be good. I just worry that as more people play this game mode for a longer period of time, it will just evolve into that full straight line speed boost into the enemy and just throw your ship away. Because in the current game on the PTS, it didn't quite get there, I found. But you can see how aggressive people are playing. Look at the Holland and C cap just going in, right? He just died, right? Look at, well, my position in A, in a Khaba, right? Like, that's not a position you normally see. The Montana in the middle cap, just sending it into B there, right? There's a lot of aggressive plays happening, and it was a lot of fun. I won't deny it. This was really fun. But the natural conclusion of this playstyle is people just throwing their ship away for free and not caring when they're in a ship, when they're in any ship other than the super battleship. When they're in the super battleship, they'll play passive. They'll try and, not walk around a corner and eat a face full of Khaba torps or something like that, right? They're going to try and extend their time as much as possible, because it does take over an hour currently of playing the game just to get one battle in a super battleship. And I had a couple battles in super battleships that ended in less than 5 minutes because people did full send it in. I might have full sent it in myself to test out secondaries or some brawling stuff and died very quickly, which, again, my own fault for sending it in that quickly. But it's not that fun to play this game mode when your goal is to play these super battleships, or you want to play these super battleships, but you're forced to play over an hour's worth of other ships just to play 5 to 10 minutes of the super battleships. You know what I'm saying? It seems like there should be a way to get into the super battleships more quickly if you play well, that kind of thing. Maybe just as simple as top XP on the scoreboard gets more intelligence reports than bottom XP on the scoreboard, right? Maybe something as simple as that. It just linearly goes down from each position. First gets the most, second gets second most, and so on. If you win the game, you get more. If you lose the game, you get a little less. Maybe something like that would help to make the game feel a little like it's rewarding you for playing well a little bit more, rather than just rewarding everyone based on participation. Because that's what it is right now. It is just a participation medal is essentially what you're getting, or ribbon, because participation doesn't really get medals, does it? It's a little white ribbon that you tried, right? Yeah, I would love to see them change that up a little bit. I had a few ideas there about it, but I'm not a game designer, right? So I don't really know what would actually be a good change, but something to make it where it's a more normal experience and getting you into the super battleships a little bit more quickly than once every hour or two. Yeah, that would be a nice change for me. But to wrap up, I think this mode is cool. I think super battleships are very cool. The legendary tier on console has always intrigued me. I have started playing the console version of this game, and yeah, it's definitely intriguing how they've done tier 10 ships in that game mode when most normal ships only go up to the tier 8 or tier 9 counterparts in that game. And I think adding super battleships in a similar way to random battles would be cool. Limit the number of essentially tier 11 ships is what this would be to maybe 3 out of the 12 could be tier 11s, and you could have a pretty interesting game mode like that. And maybe this would relieve some of the pressure that's on tier 8 at the moment, where you're just often bottom tier and you're just getting crushed by tier 10s. Maybe pulling some tier 10s into these tier 11 games might help to let the matchmaker breathe a little bit. Maybe getting some of the tier 9s into those games as well would help out with the tier 7 matchmaker. I could see some very positive things coming out of these super battleships and grand battles, and maybe some tier 11 type stuff coming to the base game. Obviously, they would have to do a good job of balancing it, and I don't really have that much faith in the balancing department. But I can hope, right? I can see that there's some really good game experience here and possibly some great additions to the base game, right? So yeah, that is my thoughts on the grand battles. We'll probably do some more normal content, maybe some ranked battles this week. But yeah, that was essentially all of the time that I had in Grand Battles. I think I had one more Hannover game. I might post that one where I just full sent it in and tried to get as much secondary and brawling damage as possible, which was pretty fun as well. So I might post that later this week. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.